Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch. If you are new to my channel, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play and checking out my videos. I hope you like what you see. Feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them, and I'd love to know what you're stitching. And if you're a returning stitching friend, I also love to know what you're stitching, whether it's while you're hanging out with me or if you have a focus piece. I love to hear about that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for letting me talk all about my love of cross stitch. I have 11 projects for you today. I'm working on some trading cards, so I have 2 starts and finishes. I have another different start, and I have a finish. So I have lots of fun stuff. I don't think it'll be picked up by the video as it's going, but we are very windy today. I'm sure it's because of the hurricane that is, I don't know if it's even with us here in Delaware as it works its way up or where exactly. I was looking at the weather person that I follow, and they talked about the fact that the swath of wind is huge and that lots of people who will get nothing else will get wind. It's a beautiful sunny day here. It started off in the 60s. It was a little chilly this morning, and I think we're supposed to get into the 70s. So it's beautiful, but the wind is definitely howling this morning a little bit. But I think it'll be okay. If I get a little distracted as a piece of wind flies through between the houses here, it's just that. I'm also a little bit punchy today because last night and the night before, my sleep was a little choppy. So we'll see what happens. Who knows how much stumbling over my words I'll do. But we just keep going on. Alrighty, before I do talk about my projects though, I wanted to talk about 2 different things. One, I have a reminder for those of you who are interested in the artist trading card swap. I have a video a few weeks ago. I probably made it mid-August, mid to late August. If you're like, what's a trading card? What's going on? I would just say, go back to that video. I explain what it is, and I also talk about the swap. You have until October 1st to send them out. If you're running late and you don't get there till October 2nd or 3rd, if you just want to let me know, Laura, I sent it a couple days late, I'll be on the watch out for it, so I know that it's coming. But I want that guideline so that we give the post office a month to get them, because sometimes things meander. Get them to me, and then at the very, very, very end of October, I might do a wheel, one of those decision wheels, and I'll put everybody's name on it. And if you've sent more than one card, you'll get your name on however number of times you sent a card. And I might just do the swaps that way, versus trying to put everybody's names in a hat or something. We'll see. I might actually use technology for a change. I'm not sure. I'm very old school for a lot of these things. As you know, with my giveaway, we have the blue bowl for that. But anyway, October 1st, check the video if you have any questions. They're still coming in. It's fantastic. I did get a question how many I got so far. I showed a picture on my Facebook group. It's shown down below what the Facebook group is. At that time of all the envelopes that had come in, but I'm not showing what they are yet. And at that time I had 25. I did a quick check this morning and I'm up to 30 cards that I've received. I have 2 that I have completed. One you saw recently, and then one I created last year, but it fits this theme. So I think it'll work perfectly. And hopefully maybe we'll get a few more as well so that I can jump in and my name will go on that wheel with everybody else's so that I can trade with whoever's name comes up with me. So yeah, so up to 30, and I know of several people who have currently shipped, are still almost ready to ship and send, but you have 2 weeks. If you are still almost in the finishing stages, you have the time. And if you have questions about anything with the finishing part, because I know that made a few people nervous, feel free to reach out. You can either ask me in the comments, you can send me a Gmail, you can ask in the Facebook group, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then I did get a question last week, and I thought I would just answer it. I answered it in the comment, but also I figured, in case anybody else was wondering, how do I count stitches? Because I generally don't, I stitch from paper I don't stitch digitally most of the time. Every once in a while I do. So how do I count stitches? Because I do count all of my stitches. And I started doing that halfway through last year. I want to say it was May of 2022. I don't know if there was some sort of event going on, and I was just curious, and I kind of enjoyed knowing how many stitches I did. So since then, I have counted my stitches. So what I do is I make a working copy of every project I do. 99.9% of the projects I do. Every once in a while, I don't, if it's like a teeny tiny thing or something or other. But if it's like a teeny tiny thing, like a trading card, then I can just quickly count the stitches on the finished little piece. But what I do is I make a working copy of everything I do. And once I've stitched something, every strand, and I do it every strand so that I know exactly where I am, or however, if it's 5 stitches of a certain color, I highlight those stitches. If it's a full strand, I highlight exactly what I did. And as I'm highlighting, I just count. It's super easy because I have to highlight exactly what I did. So I just count those squares. And then I have in my notes section on my either iPad or phone, it doesn't, they sync. So whichever one is closest to me, I will write down how many stitches I just highlighted and the project name. And then as I do more on that project, I just keep adding numbers. And then at the end of the day, I just add everything up and I put it in my stitching planner. And that's how I keep track. And I don't have a goal or a set type of thing beyond the fact that if you've seen a project, I like, if possible, to give it 500 stitches in that week so that we have some progress. It doesn't always happen. New starts don't necessarily get that much, before you see them, but that's kind of my goal. So I just find it really easy, given the way I stitch, to be able to count, even though it's not on any sort of digital thing. But yeah, that's about it. I did get a great suggestion. I think it was a friction pen somebody had mentioned. I guess those are the ones that you can heat. So if I were to highlight something that I needed to frog, I could just put the iron on it, I guess, and it disappears. I think there are also highlighters maybe that have erasers, don't there? Maybe? Possibly. I'm not sure on that one. For some reason, I feel like I've seen that kind of thing before, so that would also be an option. Sometimes if I highlighted one that I shouldn't have in, say, just a piece of confetti on a full coverage piece, I'll just circle it so that I know that that spot, what that piece is, because obviously otherwise it would be hard to read the charts. I hope that answered your question. All right, let's get going with the projects. And I started this time, I generally don't have, okay, let's do finishes, let's do new starts, I just pretty much mix everything in because everything gets mixed in my stitching week. But I happen to have a finish straight off the bat for you. And you're not really going to be surprised. It's the Prairie Schooler 2023 Santa. Now, I changed Santa's face. Instead of the called for colors, I used, and let's see if it's written here, 945 for the face, so it will be a little bit lighter. The cheeks are 225. In this one, you probably won't see the difference. It's pretty subtle. In person, I can kind of see it if I'm looking for it. Now, I don't always use the same colors for Santa's face. It really depends on the color of my fabric. And this time I went with a really kind of bright, kind of different, brighter blue. So before I talk about that, I do want to say you will not see the words and you will not see the border around it. I chose not to stitch those. So if I bring up Santa, that's what he looks like. I really wanted to try a blue for Santa, and I thought for this one, because there were so many snowflakes, I really wanted something to pop. This was in my scrap pile. I suspect it's an older Garibaldi's. I bought some in 2020, and I think that might be what it is. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know the color. I believe it's a Charles Craft, because this was some of the first hand-dyed I think I bought, and I didn't really know the difference between Charles Craft and Zweigart for the most part, because I was, just exploring the whole idea. And I just find it, and I don't know if it's their dyeing process or what, I find it thicker. I don't know if Charles Craft is generally thicker than Zweigart or not. Really don't know. So that's what it looks like. Besides the change in face, there are no other changes in Santa, except because I didn't do the words, I started to do, actually I only did one, right? No, I did, so that was charted for. This is from a different area of the chart. I just repeated it. I added another small one there, and then I was going to add some more, but I've decided here I'm going to add some snowflake brads, one or multiple. They're on the larger side, so one might be nice, and it might just cap off the piece. These are going to be made into ornaments, so I thought that would be kind of neat to have that brad right there. Now, I worked on this as part of my Hash Down Whip Down 2023 Sal Stitch Along, and that is being hosted by, where's my little card? Oh, there it is. Heather, the 20-minute stitcher, and that's her Flosstube name, 20-minute stitcher, and Michelle at Michelle Bendy Stitchy. And I will link them down below. I will link down the Stitch Along name, and the idea is to take those projects that have been kind of sitting and started, and to get see how many you can get done finished. Heather has also created a little game for us and her, in the sense that she has a Google form, and you write down your name and how many you think you'll get finished, and we'll see how well you do. And I said 8, and I am keeping it on this library card, and I'm up to, I guess, 5. I have 5 finishes for the Sal, the Stitch Along. So I have 3 more to hit my goal. You're going to see one that is almost finished, so that will definitely be. And then I have to figure out the last 2, but it is only September 15th. So I'm excited to say that I think I can hit my 8 by the end of the year. And as an aside note, I bought these library cards for different things, but you could actually use them as backing for your trading card if you wanted to. It's not flimsy, but it's not crazy thick either cardstock. I got them on Amazon. I just Googled it, and I think I got a set of 150 of them. Also, if you're using them, look at that. There's actually, the writing doesn't go through, and I've used a Sharpie for that. Now, I didn't press super hard or hold it down, so it's just general, light writing, but I thought that was pretty impressive, to be honest with you. I think there's one tiny section that started to go through, but for the most part, it hasn't. So I was kind of impressed. So I hope to put this in my 2023 stitching journal, not journal, planner, excuse me. I don't want to confuse you, because some people call stitching journals their scrapbooks, which, I call it a stitching scrapbook. But I do keep a planner, which talks about my daily stitches and all sorts of other stuff. And I think that the end of it, near the end, I have things like starts and finishes and all sorts of other things, numbers of stitches and everything. And I think I want to put this, I'll attach this to one of the back pages as well, because this will be accomplished in 2023. So if I were to flip over, I think I have 2 choices. I could either make a little pocket and stick it in, or I would just start another one. I have 150 of them. So, but yeah, I'm super excited. I have a bunch of these Prairie Schooler Santas that need to be fully finished. I did finish one last year, and I used pattern paper as the backing for the layered piece, and I have a good amount of that paper left. I may save that for all of them that are on the jade from Picture This Plus and do something different with the blue. I mean, given that it's all snowflakes and the blue, I think a really nice, I could find a nice backing, again, either paper or fabric. So this this one might look a little different than the others, but that's okay, because I kind of want to branch out and do different shades of blue for the Santas. So that's where he is. I have white snowflake brads, and I think I also have ones that are like a lighter blue. There's a third color too. I'm not sure. So I don't know if I would do the lighter blue or just do the white. I might just do the white, kind of keep the continuity. So we'll see. I'm not sure when I'm going to finish that one. Fully finished, I should say. We'll see. But super excited, and I keep this in my craft room standing up, so it reminds me that what my goals are with that. So I don't keep that with any project, because then it could get stuck and put away or something or other, and I'd forget all about it. So that's my first one. Oh, ironically, this second one here is the one that I am very close to a finish because I am changing some of the pattern itself. So you saw me pull this out. This languished forever because I didn't know what I was doing with it. This is Let's Talk Autumn from Hands on Design, and I'm doing the main piece here. This was one of the first projects that I went really off the wall with the fabric compared to the called for. And that, of course, then led me down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out colors of flosses because things don't always go when you change the colors. So that's where I am right now. I guess just fold this a little extra over. This fabric here is an 18 count. It's called Autumn Sunrise, and it was dyed by a hand dyer called Hand Dyed Happiness, but I'm really not sure if they're in business anymore. They might have stopped hand dyeing. So the information is in the description box below of who they are, but I really don't know. I'm not sure if you can find them anymore. This is beautiful. I mean, this piece is beautiful. There are different variations that I have seen of kind of like this kind of color. This one is kind of fun because it's the darker is the dominant, and then you have kind of the lighter pieces just mixed in. I've seen a lot where it's the lighter, brighter, and then maybe some of the dark. So but this is what drew me to this, was kind of the darker base of it. And I thought the white would pop, and it does. I got into a lot of, my first roadblock was trying to do the leaves. If you remember, I've stitched them multiple times. The top one I probably stitched, you can kind of see it because I stitched it 3 times and pulled it out 3 times because I just wasn't loving how it looked. And I had done another one here. So I ended up pulling them out. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some mixed media. So at this point, all I have left is the pumpkin patch, the word pumpkin patch down here. Now in the chart, it's charted with, again, another full set of leaves here. I think with the leaves here and here, I'm going to use mixed media. I'm either going to use brads or I will do something paper related like the trading card that I showed you last week. And I actually have it today because I want to, I'm using the same elements for the ones that I stitched this week. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. So this is going to be scrapbooked, I believe. So it's kind of fun to be able to put in kind of that multi-mixed media kind of elements. I did end up having to switch some colors, and that was the other thing. I know some people had asked about my colors and then I couldn't find them. I finally, in one of the books that I keep one composition notebook. I started it in January of 2020, and each month has a page, front and back page, right? And I put my starts, anything I've started that month, and then I have a column to put the date when I start it and the date when I finish it. And it's still going strong. Obviously, this is what, the fourth year doing it. It's 100 pages, so I could get 100 months out of it. So it's fun. I'll have at least 5 years worth of projects plus much more, I'm sure, which is kind of fun to flip through. Plus, if I go back to those early dates, there are a few from 2020 that are still kicking around that it's like a little note to myself. If it's not full coverage, which obviously will last a lot longer, but if they're not full coverage, it's kind of like a little kick, a little nudge, get going on it. But anyway, so I did change the browns that you see, or the tops of the acorn here, and then the greenery with it. I changed the greenery, I believe, and the tops of the pumpkin, and I did change the color of the pumpkin. The pumpkin was charted in, I don't know if you can see it, a very light kind of orange that's underneath here, and I wanted them to pop a bit more, so I did change that. The words down here are in white. I think it's white. I don't think it's 386. I think it's Blanc or B5200, or maybe I changed it because I wanted it to pop a bit more. But that's all I have down there. So I don't have any more color changes to do. I will go back to my book and see what I've got for color changes, and I'll put that in the description box. So if you're looking on putting this on something that is more autumnal, seasonal kind of thing, rather than just the black, then I've seen it also on gray, like a smoky-ish gray, and it looks lovely on that too. Just making sure that the words pop, obviously. I guess you could do them in a different color think about that in that sense. You could do them in some sort of autumnal color and then have everything play off of that as well. But I will write down what I have figured out. So this one, yeah, maybe this week. I think I'd like to try to pull it out this week and get those words. Words generally, the letters can go a little bit faster. That's a pretty easy font there. And maybe I'll have a finish on this next week for you. I don't know exactly when I'm stitching this week. I'll talk about, there's a couple of starts that I plan this week. And then, you know, I'm kind of focusing on trading cards at the moment. So maybe not this week with that, but certainly by the end of, I'd say October, certainly that will be finished. And we want it done by 2023 so it can go in my whip down numbers. All right, next, let me show you the original on the iPad. I am participating in Scattergories for Whip Warriors, which is a Facebook group that is currently closed, but we're getting near the end of the year, so they'll probably be opening up soon. They were originally No New Starts, and they've kind of evolved, as we all have a tendency to do, right? And I'm in the Stitch What You Want When You Want tracked, and that's the way I go with it. But we are asked to participate in something every month, and I have been doing Scattergories quite a bit. And the letter is A, and one of the 12 prompts is designer name. And so I went with Autumn Lane Stitchery. It gave me an excuse to pull out Serena Sprout. This would be a fun one to get finished by the end of this year. There's just so much more stitching than you think there is. Here's mine. I did kind of go along the same lines as what they have for color scheme. This is an 18 count Honeydew Melon from To Dye For Fabrics. And I love the color I picked. I think it's a little bit brighter than, I want to say that that is a higher count, not my 18, but a higher count of Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie, which you know is a favorite green of mine. So it certainly could have gone on that as well. I put in 500 stitches, and it was the edge of this dress and the whole bottom part down here. I did a little bit with these flowers too. I don't have 100% finished here. I have another shoe and this color, which is, you know, the shading kind of, actually there's not much. It's mostly just the shoe and a little bit down there. So the dress is almost 100% finished, but my 500 stitches finished it off. And then I still have this huge element, which has flowers and everything in it. It's not just the cauldron itself. I do have some butterflies to do. I have back stitching, which I'll do in the end. And, you know, there's kind of like little sprigs of flowers that come off of her hat and everything else. So there's quite a bit left of this. I had, in the beginning of 2023, highlighted this. I go through my list of projects after I do my project parade, and I highlight things that I think I could get finished at the end of the year. And I'm doing pretty good. I think there's only 2 left. This is one of them, and I'm just not sure. There's just way more stitching than you think there is. So we'll see. I'll just keep pulling it out. I could pull this for Scattergories again because another prompt is body parts, and she has arms. So this could get another set of stitching before the end of the month, which I want to finish the dress and then start. I'm trying to see, you know, maybe I finish the dress and I get all of these flowers completed. Then my main element will be this plus all the extras. We'll see. So just plugging along. This one might be a long shot. And that was just kind of when I highlighted the projects, it was more of a aspirational kind of thing, right? You know, let's see if I can get these all finished. I think I picked at least a dozen. I might have picked 13 or 14. I don't remember. A lot of them were on the smaller side, so I felt like they could get finishes that year. So we'll see what happens. Now, I have a new start, and not a surprise, I have one more of these to start. I have October after this. I started November last year, November and December. So this is September's Morning Glory, and it is from Cottage Garden Samplings. It is part of their My Garden Journal series. So September Morning Glories. I talked to you about doing this on a Friendship Green, actually, ironically, by Stephanie, Fabrics by Stephanie, and that's what I did. Now, I thought it was so interesting. I wanted to show you. I pulled out, every time I do an order with Stephanie, a lot of times I throw in some Friendship Green because I just love it. And so I was pulling out what I had. I have 3 different friendship greens, and some of them are cut off. These are not full fat quarters, but look at the difference. It's subtle, but I think it's so interesting that even the same color from the same hand dyer and the same count, they're all 18 count, can be a little bit different. So I know hand dyers talk about, you know, the weather can affect it, the humidity, the different things that go on just beyond their control. And this is a prime example. I love all 3 of them, so I'm not upset about any of them. I think I ended up going with the lighter one just because I wasn't sure the way, I don't need to put those back in the project. Just because I wasn't sure the way the colors would look on the other 2 compared to this. So that's what I did. And here it is. Not a huge start, but I think I clocked in at 300 stitches or so. I love this little house. It's super cute. And we have just the red of the apple. I still have to do the little tippy top of the apple. And then I started to plug along on the border. The border is, there's 2 different elements to it. So I did this is just one color, but it is one of the simpler elements or borders because they all have, you know, the top border down the side, and they all have, or down this side, so side and top. Then here's the element of the floral, and a lot of times parts of the floral element make up that border, and then they have the words. So there's a continuity in them as you're doing them. And some of the borders are very fiddly, but this one I think is really gonna go, I mean, I really just have another top part of it here. It's 1, 2, yep. And I can't wait, there's 2 little owls that sit up there. And then the flowers start here with a beautiful purple flower. So I would like to continue getting stitching done on this during the month, because then obviously it goes away when October comes. And then after October, I pull out the started piece from November on and see what I can get done. Some of them have a lot more starting progress than others. I mean, here I just started this one this week, so it's already the 15th. It could get another couple weeks, but how much am I going to get enough, you know, far along on it? But that's okay. I'm not putting any pressure even to get them done in 2024. If they get done, great. They're going to be all scrapbooked probably in a running set. Do you know what I mean? So they'll be their own little segment within the big scrapbook. And I mean, that was what they were sort of designed for in one sense, because in January, she gave a chart that I think it said My Garden Journal, and you could put them in like a little book in and of itself. I think it'd be beautiful if you were a florist, you know, if somebody a gardener, and you had different flowers that match them. I think that would be a beautiful, you could have the stitch and then the floral element pictures on the other side. All right, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. I need to go to the next piece. So this was the full coverage that I pulled out this week. I love this. I love the bright, fun, I was going to say funness. It's not really a word, but I'm going to make it up as a word of this piece. This is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is Dona Gelsinger. And I did get the mini. So it's Mini Sunflower Cottage. And it's funny because I definitely have both edges done. You've seen that before. And it's like, ooh, it's not super wide. It's obviously taller. That's where the length is for it. But I am just now plugging down on the way, working it down. If you are fairly new with me, I do not do really any sort of way of doing my full coverage. I pretty much just pick a color and I go with it. And it could be on one side of the piece one day and on the other side of the piece the other. And that's what happened here. So let's go back for a second. That's what it looks like where I am at the moment. This is 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. I did a small amount on this side here, filling in this heart a little bit. So it has some confetti and some other pieces. This is all filled in. I know it might be hard to see, but that's all done, that heart there, or part of heart. And maybe I did a little bit of blue because that blue kind of extends and around. Before we get to here, there's going to be a lot of confetti because there's a lot of flowers. Looks so beautiful, though. I can't wait till the end where there's the sunflowers. Those are going to be really nice. I did concentrate. I did a little bit here on this side, but not much. Mostly I concentrated on the pink umbrella in the center. I'm getting to the point where there'll be some, I think over here you're going to see some yellowish flowers. I haven't gotten to those yet, but I did bring in some of the purple elements below, and that's just some more different shades of pinks. And this, I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is all stitched, so that's all done. So as you can see this week, I worked on this section, mostly, and a little bit here. No rhyme or reason. That is the width, though, that you will get on this one. And this is cut with a 3-inch border. So that's how far it goes down. You know, take out whatever border amount. So I still have obviously a good ways to go, but I feel like I got some good stuff done, because now you can almost tell this is looking like an umbrella. I think I've given it now. I didn't stitch any Fridays. I generally don't stitch full coverage because it's just with filming and getting everything ready. It doesn't really seem to work out. But from Saturday on, I've been stitching this every day. I will continue, probably won't get any done today, but then I'll continue however many days. That gets me to my 10-day rotation on this one. I am still stitching every day a strand or two on Christmas deer, but I'm not showing that this week. I'm going to show it to you at the end of the month, and we'll see what I can get done. Sometimes a strand really doesn't do much, but I figure if I'm doing this every single day, by the end of the month, there should be some extra progress on that. I guess you'll be the one to decide when you see it. This one I pulled out again. This is my experiment with 1-strand stitching, so sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. This piece is by Hicks Creates, and it's called The Earth Laughs. Years ago, I had a stamp that said The Earth Laughs and flowers, and then you had flowers. So it kind of reminded me of my stamping days, which I still do once in a while, but we're going way, way back. I don't know if it was Hero Arts or PSX for my stampers out there, but it definitely was an older stamp. And I've seen different variations over the years. So when I saw this from Hicks, I said, well, I need to cross stitch it. And at the time, I thought I was going to put this on the front of a stitching scrapbook. So I ended up using 20 count because I needed it to fit. I still needed to fit within the 12 by 12, but given the scrapbooks that I ended up going with, there's nothing on the front. You know, it's not that kind of front of a scrapbook. So this will go within, but I still need it to fit within the 12 by 12 because that's my biggest book. So I still think I would have had to use the 20. This is 20 count ice blue from To Die For Fabrics. I do not believe To Die For does 20 count anymore. I think with her formulas, and she's got very distinct formulas so that she can replicate the colors for you. But I think with her formulas, the 20 count just wasn't consistent. That's the word I'm looking for. So I do believe but there's lots of other hand dyers that do 20 count or just the Zweigarts and the like. I'm thinking about trying just some 20 count white Aida and trying a full coverage on the 20 count just to shake it up a little bit. So, but anyway, I did use this, called for Cosmo floss, and I said, let's give it a go. And I am doing 1 strand, and I have a love-hate relationship with that. Some days the stitching is great. The other days, those threads just fray, and I haven't gotten many stitches in on a certain color, and boom, it's just come apart. I know that I could have a burr in my needle, and I mean, I keep rotating my needles, so I never know which one I'm using, so I do understand that, but it sometimes doesn't do it with all the colors, just certain colors, which it should work with. It should fray all of them, right? If there's a burr, I don't know, or maybe it's just unlucky. I do like the fact that, you know, I can do 2 or 3 stitches. It's a quick, easy start because I've learned how to do the loop start with 1 strand, and it makes the starting very easy. But I do want to try a project 1 strand with DMC and see if it's the Cosmo or if it's the 1 strand. If it's me, I have a tendency to pull fairly hard, I think. And so maybe I'm kind of part of the problem. We'll see. But, you know, I think it's going to be beautiful when it's done. It just doesn't get as much time because I consider it and then I say, well, do I really want to have to deal with that? So I focused mostly on this corner here. So I did get all of this done right here, finished the butterfly, did a few of the words. And then I said, well, I've got this big giant element right here. I really need to start tackling that, and then I'll just kind of continue to work my way over. So I did start to tackle that. But again, the stuff was kind of fraying, and I said, you know, I'm good at the moment. I got some stuff accomplished. This entire little corner is done. So now I can just bring this across. And let me see, underneath. There's the butterfly. Yeah, so besides at this point for this corner, this is completely done. So it'll say in flowers, and then this repeats over here. Just flip to another butterfly in the bottom. So there won't be a lot down here. There'll be this giant flower here, obviously the border, and then some smaller elements, which again, with the one strand should be easy peasy to kind of, you know, start type of thing. But I'm just working my way through it. I'm working it and seeing how it works. I haven't completely written off one strand, but it's a challenge for me. I'm not going to lie. So that's what that is. It's a beautiful piece. And I know when I started this, somebody said that they stitched it in the DMC. Jan does provide a DMC alternative, and they said it came out beautiful. And I don't doubt it. You know, I am a huge fan of DMC, and just about everything I stitch is DMC. And so I am all for the alternatives. I just happened that Cosmo cost me, I think it was about 99 cents a strand. So it wasn't completely outrageous when it came to how much I paid. And there weren't a ton of colors, maybe 10, if that. So I felt like, all right, let's give it a try. And I just searched Etsy, and I found a shop on Etsy that sold it. That's how I did it. All right, now I have 2 different starts and finishes for little trading cards. And what I did was I pulled out larger pieces, smaller parts of bigger pieces. The first one, this was just released this week by Erin Elizabeth Designs. It's called Fall Cabinet. Isn't it adorable? Adorable. And I mean, honestly, this would be a cute little, like almost ornament type of thing, or a single stitch, the cabin. There's this, that's adorable. The truck is super cute. The little apple bag. The least of the ones that I'd stitch would probably be this. And I mean, it's cute. There's nothing against it, but I'm drawn to the other ones. And I ended up stitching this guy right here. So that's what you're going to see. I mean, obviously it's a lot smaller when you're going to see it, but it's got to fit on the trading card. And then I'm also going to finish it similar to the squirrel you saw a few weeks ago. So, and I did, obviously, I got the digital version because I saw that and I said, I want to do one of those pieces for a trading card. I don't know if I'll get any of them done more for the swap, but I could easily see going back and doing the truck, the truck, the sunflowers, and the apples for future swaps down the line. So that's what I have. And this is on 18 count scrap. I want to say it's Friendship Green, but it came from my scrap pile and they're not labeled. So I wanted a green to kind of depict nature and outdoors. And like I said, I'll add some mixed media elements to it. And I'll show you that in a minute, just kind of as a reminder if you have not seen the previous finish. So there's that one. And let me put this here because I want to show you the other one that I did then too. Where did I take I took the picture because I already had this piece. So the second trading card came from, this is called Autumn Glows from Little Dove Designs. That gives you an idea of what the full picture looks like. And I loved this little fox with the kind of mushrooms. I thought it was super cute. Now, the only thing I don't have, the little white spots on the mushrooms are French knots. You know how I feel about French knots. We just, no. I do not have any teeny tiny little white beads. So maybe I'll take a trip at some point before I fully finish this one to Michael's. Or sometimes I do I just do the stitch, but I just do like a really tiny stitch and it's very subtle. because, you know, in my eternal optimism, I try the French knot and it doesn't work ever. And I get fed up and then I kind of do. So we'll see what happens with that. But I combined elements. So I have the fox and I'm going to say toadstools. I don't know if that's exactly what they are. But I wanted grass. So do you see up here at the top, there's this kind of grassy design? I took that element and put it underneath the fox. And I extended it a little bit. You're going to see here, it was one straight line, and then it had one zigzag. So it'd be two more below it. I ended up, let me just fold this over here. I ended up doing the straight line and then two sets of zigzags. So 4 rows below it. And I love it. I love how this looks. That is so much fun. I purposely went longer because I would like to do a little pumpkin there. I don't think I have any pumpkin brads, which is why I think I'll continue to do the paper one that I'll show you. So everything else is the same color-wise. This part came from the element. Like I said, you don't see the little white stuff on there yet. And I think the eyes were also French knots. I might have little tiny black beads, so I might try that, and we'll see with it. So here's the 2 that I worked on. Fold these kind of things so that you can see the 2 together. Those are the 2 starts and finishes, and both very tiny pieces from bigger charts. I love being able to do this, and it makes these charts, I get so much more out of them because I'm not just stitching the full piece and I'm done. I will stitch different pieces for different things. These would be cute little ornaments. Like if you did like seasonal trees, maybe do it on a 16 count, make it a little bit bigger, or a 14. But how cute would this be as a little round ornament on the tree? It would be adorable. And then I can stitch the full piece if I'd like to. Or again, parts and pieces of it, but bigger parts and pieces. This was the one that I finished already. So you can see there with the squirrel, I have a paper pumpkin, and then I have all sorts of 2 different shapes of paper leaves. And I ended up using the metal die from Frantic Stamper. Right here, it's called Fall Icon Wreath. And in the center there, you'll see there's the pumpkin and a couple different leaves. And this is the section, right now it's attached, that I used to die cut those pieces. So I'm thinking next to him, I think a little pumpkin would be adorable right there. And then maybe some leaves. And this, I don't know if I'd do any more pumpkins or if I would just do it kind of leaf related. This one obviously is going to go this direction, right? The horizontal. This one, I don't know if I would make it. I might see how I might go vertical with this one. I left myself room up top because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I don't know 100%. This one, I have a better understanding of how I want to finish this one than I do this guy. So we'll see what happens. Now, once I get to it, I know I had said that I wanted to talk about the different glues I've used. When I glued the paper to the paper, I used one type of glue. When I glued the paper pieces to the cross-stitch fabric, I used a different kind of glue. And then I use double-sided tape when I glue everything to the cardstock. So I'm thinking, especially this one, I know how I want to fully finish this. So if I can, what I'd like to do, if I can do the setup again like I've done before, I'll talk to you, maybe I'll show you the different glues first, and then we'll fully finish it together. And since this one, I might have to kind of do some stops and starts. We'll see if this one gets included in the video if I do both of them. But this one definitely, I have an idea of what I want to do. And it'll look very similar to this in the end, except this has paper grass. Basically, I just took the cardstock and I ripped it and I put it on there and attached it. Versus this one, I've stitched the grass. This is a little bit smaller, so what I might do is cut it, layer it, and then put it on another. So there might be a double layer on that. So we'll see. But those are the 2 starts and finishes for trading cards that I worked on this week. And there might be one more in me, one more trading card, because there's something I got in my shopping that I wanted to show you. If I get some time to play with it, I would like to, but you know, we'll see what happens obviously during the week, right? Things are never necessarily how you plan them to go. So you just kind of roll with it. Okay, I have 3 more projects, I think. Yes, 3 more to show you. This next one here is Turkey Day. This is also from Cottage Garden Samplings. And it was part of their seasonal, what year was this? I have reading glasses, but these are my regular 2021. And this turkey is no joke. I just felt like giving myself a bit of a challenge, so I pulled him out. And that's where he is. Again, I am jumping all over the place. This is 18 count buttercream from To Die For Fabrics. It is a wonderful color to let other colors jump out, especially fall colors. And you're going to see that because ironically, the next piece that I'm going to show you afterwards uses this exact color fabric as well. So there's so many different elements. This is one element that has multiple colors and has a design. Then here there's a whole nother different design. And then you come down and it's different colors again. So this is intense. This is definitely not a finish for this year. I also kind of went down here with some of the feathers, or I guess they call them feathers. And some of this here in the edge kind of fades in a little bit, but that's okay. In person you can see it. And it's really just almost like a shadow end of the piece. It doesn't really show up here either, so I don't feel bad. So I kind of jump around. I was doing this, and then I was like, I need something that's a little bit easier. So then I went in, this was all one color, and I think I did the stuff in between. This is a long-term project because this guy is not only full coverage, it's intensive counting and changing and looking full coverage. So after that, I mean, all of the stuff at the bottom, the leaves, that's gonna seem like a walk in the park, to be honest. And I am not doing all of that year's pieces, but I know you have also seen, I've started the August one. I think I like the snowman. There's a few, I have a few of them. They won't all get done, but some of them will. All right. Oh, goodness. The next one that I'm going to pull out, let's see here. I just felt like pulling this out. Again, it's seasonal now, so, you know, it's kind of going with the colors. I finished my summer gnome, right? So I said, well, let's pull out another gnome. I have, what do I have? I have 4 well, I have 3 more now. I had 4 started, finished summer gnome. I have this guy, which I call November gnome. I have a winter one, and I have a St. Patrick's one. And aren't they cute? I was torn because this guy with the little, you see the pumpkin in the hat, is adorable. But I ended up going with the one with the pumpkin. Maybe I started this last year for my October pumpkin birthday stitch along. I don't remember. I'll have to look and see. But I went with this one. I loved this kind of floral element, and then there's a pumpkin down there. So that's the one I'm stitching. I'm not stitching the back border or the grounding circle. And that's where I am on this. I did not give myself, as these went along and I started to cut fabric for them, I gave myself smaller and smaller margins. These will be scrapbooks, so it should be fine, but I'm cutting it close. Pun intended, I guess. This big focus this week, and I did get 500 on this, was finishing this flower. And it's so funny because I was stitching it, and I really couldn't see it. And then it was kind of far away from me. And I looked and I said, oh, wow. Now I see why there's about 20, there's not, I'm exaggerating, but like 20 different color changes here, because it just brings out kind of the depth of the flower. Besides the flower, I did a little bit more. There's just a little bit more of these leaves, and then the hat comes down a little bit more here. Oh, down here, you know what, there's some berries. But then we start getting into the gnome. And there'll be a little bit of gnome nose right there. So we'll see. Again, I'm not purely seasonal stitcher, so sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't. Things are always fair game for any of the different stitching games I might do, so who knows when you'll see it again. But I like those colors, and this time of year, I just love that vibe. So you could easily see that again during this time of year. I think that's it for my iPad, so I can put that over here. And the very last piece, I work on this every other week. I rotate it with black vintage sampler, and it is Summer Quaker from Leela Studio. I forgot to put down my hashtag on the notes, but there's a hashtag with this. I started it with Beth the Steadfast Stitcher, among others. There's several people that I know that are stitching it, and it is hashtag Summer by the Shore. I'll remember to, I probably will cut and paste this, so that the hashtag will be below if you're curious what it is. And I am using on this piece, unlike spring, so far I have used all of the called for colors. And I'm gonna, so this is what it looks like in whole. I worked on the bottom part. So I am top and bottom on 2 corners done. So excited. I worked on this Wednesday night. I hosted a Zoom and worked on this. I love these Quakers as Zoom pieces. Yes, I have to count in between, but for some reason I find them doable for Zooms. I did have to pull a teeny tiny bit out of the flower because I had started it 1 up, but I caught it right away, and it didn't, in the end, it didn't cause much problems. But this week I finished up to this bottom. So this is the bottom. And then on the Zoom, I did all of these elements, and they all match up here. So that's good. I'm one that counts things off of everything just to make sure it's all kind of, and I could fudge it. Like if something was a stitch off up over here, I could probably fudge some of these. Like if this one, you know, had to go down 1 or up, whatever. But it's also reassuring just to kind of make sure so that if you're not counting other things off, it doesn't all come off. But let's show you up close. That's what it looks like. Big thank you to all of those of you who joined me on the Zoom. Mo was traveling this week, so Wednesday night it was just me all by my lonesome, and it was so lovely to be able to spend the evening with a bunch of stitchy friends and to stitch. So thank you very much for keeping me company that evening. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves. So that's what it looks like. This is 18 Count Nantucket Sky by Fabrics by Stephanie. And this will go away this week now, and I will pull out Black Vintage Sampler. I don't have any finish date timeline goals for any of these. It'll happen when it happens. I am very chill about when or if things get finished. I don't worry about it. It'll happen when it happens. This is my hobby. I'm going to put down about the, just in case, but about the hashtag there. It's my hobby. It brings me joy. It brings me peace. It brings me calm. There's no way I'm going to introduce something that is not calm into that. So we just roll with it. Alrighty, so that is my stitching. What are my plans, you say? I have 2 different things that I am planning on starting. I don't have fabric chosen for either one of them, so we might want to get to that. But the first one, this is the last of the 4 of these seasons that I need to do. This is Autumn Quaker, and is from Jardin Privé. And if you have not been with me very long, I stitched the other 3 on pretty bright fabrics, but I used, I believe it's 823 on all of them. So this will have, do I have the, no, you know what, it's over there, the bag. But I'm thinking a bright kind of peachy for this one. Or not orange. I don't want to go along the Halloween lines, but more peachy. Even like that Sunstone that I did Bookhouse with could be a possibility. But the other 3 are in brights. It'll be 2 2-page spreads in the scrapbook, so I want to keep the continuity. There is a set of 4 seasonal things that I'm thinking about for next year, and they would probably go on more, I'll say pastels. I'm not necessarily, but the lighter version rather than the bright version of 4 different colors. I won't use 823, but I'll probably do the same idea where I will do one shade. I'm thinking kind of like a hunterish green, and have them go through all 4 seasons. I'm changing it up because I'm making something that's not monochromatic. So I'll talk about that near the end of the year when I start talking about 2024 plans. Are you thinking about your 2024 plans yet? I was watching Fanciful Flamingo. Try to say that 10 times without messing it up. And she was talking about, in her last video, and I think the video before too, but last video, which just came out recently, she's doing 24 and 24. And so she's starting to pull out pieces, and some of them might be current projects already started. I'm not 100% sure she's decided on 24 starts, if I remember correctly. Sometimes when I'm stitching, if I'm at a intensive spot in my stitching and I'm watching Flosstube, sometimes some of the words don't completely, sink in. And so here I am talking about people, and sometimes they've said something completely different, but we just work with it. But anyway, so whether the concept for her is going to be 24 starts or some projects and starts, she started to pull stuff and everything. So it's been a lot of fun. And so she's obviously talking about 2024. And it got me thinking about my 2024. So I know that 4-season project, that's been something I've been kicking around in my brain all year. And then we'll see what else. I don't give myself a specific number, because I just start when I want, however I want, that. I can't remember. I'm up to, now I count my trading cards as starts as well. I'm probably up to 52 or 53 starts. What's funny is I looked at last year and I'm behind. I want to say total last year, I probably had 85, 86 starts. So what happens this year? Who knows? Do I get that high? I doubt it. I don't think I will get that many new starts unless I start making a whole bunch of trading cards, because I don't have that many left in. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. There's a bin right here that has my starts slated for the year. But I kind of go with the flow. So I kind of think of themes or things or pieces that I'd like to start in a current year. And then I will start pulling projects as we get closer. And I'll probably do a Flossmas video like I did last year. Blueberry hibiscus today. You know how much I love my hibiscus teas. I'll do a Flossmas and I'll go through everything I'd like to start as of then. And the caveat that new things are going to come out and I'm going to be starting other things. So that was the first start this week. That was very long-winded to say that I have, oh my goodness, I am completely, there we go. Where's the other one? I bought this one just recently. I mentioned it in one of Beth, again, Steadfast Stitcher Zooms, and she said, oh, I like that, let's stitch that. And so Beth has a little bit more of a theme this year with her starts, not a theme, but a set amount. And so I let her, guide, if you want to start it, when do you want to start it? Because what works in your plans for the year. And I just go with the whole stitch when I want thing. But so Beth said the 16th, which is tomorrow. So I really do need to get on it and figure out fabric on this. I am going to change the color of the house, I believe. Am I changing anything else? I don't know. You know what it will depend on? What fabric I choose. I pulled the... Did I? No, I did not. I did not pull the flosses for this. So I have to do some pulling of flosses today and some tosses on fabrics. So you'll figure out next week. You'll find out next week when I know what I'm doing. I'll tell you, because I have no idea yet. I think it's so beautiful. It was the flowers that really caught my attention with that one. I think there was a 1794 date. I don't think I'll put that in. We'll just roll with it. So we'll see. I don't really know what's happening. Alrighty. Now, that's it for plans. I want to fully finish those 2 trading cards if I can. At least that one, the fox, because I need to figure out, though, before I fully finish it, if I'm adding beads. I have to think about that. If I do the teeny tiny beads, can I then iron on the interfacing? Because when I iron my pieces, I have the board, but then I also do a fluffy white towel, and I iron obviously face down, and I iron the back. But if I do that, if they're teeny tiny beads and they're in the fluffy towel, they should be fine, right? I mean, they're not anything massive. What do you do if you're, especially like how do you press a big piece that has a lot of beads, say a Mira? Obviously you don't need to, you're not necessarily doing interfacing, but when things have beads and the like, if you do either add interfacing or you have to fully press it before you frame it or whatever, what do you do? I don't know. I'd love to know your suggestions on that one, because that's kind of new with me. I haven't really done beads much at all. I did one trading card with beads, and I think on that one I had the interfacing on it, and then I just poked through the interfacing. But this is going to be an issue with bigger projects farther down the line, so I'd be curious to know what to do. All right, that's it for plans. That's all I know. Happy mail. I ended up, Ellen sent me a trading card for the swap, and in the process she first sent me this beautiful card which was drawn by her friend. How beautiful is that? This would be a great, if I could figure out the little things underneath, this would be a great color challenge. Look at the beauty of those colors, because you've got the different shades of the pinks, you have a little bit of a green, then you have the different shades of the blue. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So this card is going to go up there so I can see it. And so Ellen sent me her trading card, but then she hand dyes, and she sent me a couple different scraps from pieces she had hand dyed. Look at these. This is beautiful. This is so cool. I love that. And this one is just amazing. You know me well. Purples and blues. I love it. I love, love, love it. So thank you so much for that. I cannot wait to play around with, I'm looking at the color. I'm trying to decide what might look good on there. I don't know, but something will come to me. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. You thinking of me. And she did 18 count Aida, so I appreciate that as well. Alrighty, so, and you will get your trading card swapped later on in the year. Now this was, I saw this on, I want to say Nicole Spohr. So Nicole Spohr, if you're not watching her, she started off as a paper crafter. She may also quilt. I'm not sure on that. I've known her, I knew her as a paper crafter. And I don't know when she started cross-stitching or got back to cross-stitch. I don't know the backstory. I kind of came into it late, but she had started cross-stitching. You know, she has a floss tube. She has an all-encompassing floss tube. I'm going to write it down and I'll link it down before. So she does her paper crafting videos are also on there. She has finishing videos for cross stitch. She does just regular floss tube. She does all tons of things. September, if you're looking at it and you're saying, I don't want to do paper crafting, September is particularly heavy on paper, because September is actually called, it's an event in the paper crafting world called Stamptember. So Nicole works for several stamp companies, and she creates content for them, and she creates samples and things. So every single day of September, she has videos, I believe, that come out, and they're paper related. So know that that's a bit of an aberration if you're not interested in paper. But again, she does beautiful work. So if you wanted to watch it, or you just wait till she comes out with the next floss tube. She also has a Facebook group, one for paper, one for just for stitching. But anyway, on the Facebook group, she showed this from a company called Lawn Fawn, and I haven't even taken it out yet. Lawn Fawn is a stamping company, but there is a segment of stampers that also stitches on cards, and I'm going to write down Jennifer McGuire too, because Jennifer McGuire Inc. is another really talented paper crafter, and Jennifer loves doing stitching on cards. And she works a lot with spellbinders, and they are also a metal die company, and they create beautiful metal dies that you could do on just as is, but you can also sew parts of it using floss, DMC floss. And it just looks, or you can use anything really. And she does beautiful work. So I'll link her down below too if you'd like to see some of her videos. And she is also a content creator for several companies. So this month also may be a bit heavier. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if she's got as many coming out as Nicole. But So this is a metal die of a hoop. Let me show you the back. So you have the actual hoop, and you can either do a heart and you can just stitch the heart and do X's there, or this is just a blank circle and it can be almost like my fabric. So I saw this and I said, oh, I wanted to give this a try. I don't know if I will be, I've thought about doing a trading card and doing the hoop. So we will see, because I think let's see, will it fit? That's the one thing that, oof, it's a tiny bit, it's a smidge bit bigger, but I could just do the middle part and stitch something on it and then do something, because it is a smidge. But if you were to make cards, this would be a lot of fun with as well. So I picked that up, and Lawn Fawn just happened to send, they sent 3 different, they're 6x6s, pattern papers, double-sided pattern papers. So that's a lot of fun. I know I'll be able to use them somewhere, whether in paper crafting, my stitching scrapbooks or something. And they usually will send, a lot of the companies do this, they send you like a handmade by stamp. So they sent me that as well. And that's generally like anybody's order. Like that wasn't just, you know, I'm not special by any means. That just comes with an order. All right, so that was my little bit of paper crafting sort of thing. I received my fabric of the month. I'm very confused which month this is. I actually want to say it's August, but I'm not 100% sure. I received it from Under the Sea Fabrics. It's called, I have to look up close, sorry about that, Ashera, I believe. If you do not want to see it, look away. This is the 18 count version, and that's what it looks like. There is minimal to no modeling on this, and I'm okay with that. I don't have to have everything modeled. I think it's a pretty color. That's what I look like. That's what I look at. The modeling is a bonus, especially with certain projects. Other projects, you actually don't want it because sometimes it's a distraction. But beautiful. And I think, yeah, I want to say it's August because I don't know. She showed a color. I'm a bit confused. Or maybe it's September. She showed something. I'll go back on her Facebook group because she showed a picture of something that maybe that's the upcoming October that she's already got it figured out for the color. Maybe that's it, and this is September. I don't know. Maybe if you get it, let me know if I've completely messed up. And then the last thing I want to show you for shopping. I did get some charts, but I will wait because my video is long enough and I don't want to just backload it with all just shopping kind of thing. But you know that I cannot go more than a few weeks without seeing what Lynn at Those Missing Stitches has. She's a relatively new hand dyer. She is on Etsy and her colors are scrumptious. I have 2 pieces on the same, or 2 projects on the same Compelling Conscious fabric. I love the Aida. I love the feel of it. I stitch in hand, so you know that's important to me. It's not, you know, it's kind of that, I guess, mama bear, right? Not too soft, not too hard, you know, whatever. It's like, it's just the right feel for me, for fabric. And so I placed an order with her, and I want to show you. So this first one, you know that I do like grays, and I like my bluer grays, not my warmer grays. Like, they're not yellow grays, but they're kind of along those tints. I like the ones that are the cooler. This is called Brave Boromir, and that's gray, but it's got such awesome blue tints. I love it. I love, love, love it. Really, really like this. These are all 18 count. Her pieces come, for Aida, I have no idea on the others. They come 18 by 29. So it's a nice, big, giant piece. I'm actually going to floss toss. I'm going to pull the floss for both of those Twisted Band samplers because they're stitched on 2 different, one stitched on like a white and one stitched on a black. I don't want to do that necessarily. So I gotta do some floss tosses. I might, whichever one I decide to start, maybe this month. It may not happen now, because there seems to be so much going on. It might be something like this, and it's a nice, good piece. So I got that. And then this one's called Marvelous Meg. Well, I have a Meggie, right? So I had to order this one. And bonus, it's blue. So I double had to order it. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It is modeled, and as usual, the camera's making it darker than it is in person, but it is these beautiful darks and light blues, and it is just gorgeous. I cannot wait to find a project for this. Black Vintage Sampler would have looked beautiful on this one as well. I think it really would have shown. So maybe I'll find some nice good piece with that. These would be good, I would say, with mirrors too, especially if one was kind of like a mermaid or something. And then she was so nice. She sent, as a thank you for talking about her fabrics, which is easy when they're phenomenal. She sent me another piece, and I'm super excited because this is one I've thought about trying, and so now I have it. It's called Darling David, and I can't wait to figure out what to stitch on this. I think this is, I wonder if I'm going to do a floss toss. I wonder if Librarian's House would look good on this. It might. Oh, I'll be so excited. Then I already have. I'm gonna grab the flosses for Librarian's House, and I am going to throw them on here and see what they look like, because some of those reds and stuff might be beautiful on this. So again, this is called Darling David. I can't recommend her enough. I'm of two minds, because if she gets busier, it'd be harder to get her fabric. But she's so wonderful. Her fabrics are just beautiful that I can't not recommend her. So I'm not going to be selfish. I'm going to say go and look on Etsy. She'll be linked under the shopping section. And she periodically adds colors, so I have her shop favorited so that things will pop up when she adds colors. And then she had sent this beautiful little kind of chain with it, and it's got this nice little saying. I'm going to hang that up somewhere here. Sometimes you forget you're awesome, so this is your reminder. Isn't that lovely? So just a cute little thing here. So those are my fabrics, and I am so excited now because I looked at these and I didn't make the connection between this and is it called Librarian's House? Let me make sure I'm calling it the right thing. Yeah, Librarian's House. I didn't make that connection, but I'm going to give this a try. I'm not saying it's going on this, but I'm going to give it a try. I might even keep the colors as is if I do this. I'll pull the called for, and then I'll make some decisions. Alrighty, so that is my shopping. That's all I'm going to show you this week. Like I said, I have some charts that I did pick up from Marketplace, sort of. I didn't pick up a lot. There were some that were just coming out this time of year anyway, and then I did get one or two that had nothing to do with Marketplace, but and I have no idea what Galleria is. I've heard a few people talk about it. I don't know. Is that another one of these shows? I'm not really sure. I'm kind of not in the know kind of thing, but I have heard the word thrown about a little bit. So I have no idea if that means that designers have got some more wonderful awesomeness coming out or not. This is why I don't make plans for a specific year, because whew, all bets are off when they start coming out with some great projects. Alrighty. That's the shopping. Let's talk giveaways. What do I do with my bowl? Oh, here it is. Just a reminder. So, you know, with my giveaways, I give 2 weeks for you to send. Oh goodness, I've got things flying all over the place. To get back to me. Otherwise, I pull another name from the blue bowl and we move on to another person. So I have one outstanding giveaway at the moment. It was for the misspoke. $10. I only have so much on my stamping, but on my stitching budget. A $10 gift certificate to Barefoot Needle Arts. And Angie Fitro, you were the name I picked last week. So you have one more week. Please, Angie, get back to me and I will get the gift certificate. And I don't know if I send it directly to you by email or if I give you a code. So just when you send me an email, let me know what's the email you would want associated with that. So I'm going to put your name, Angie, over here. And if I don't hear from you, then next video, I will choose a new winner on that. I haven't bought the gift card yet because I always wait till the person gets back to me, because I don't know exactly what the protocol from any certain company will be. This week's giveaway, this was one that, after long and hard thought, I decided that I was going to pass on this project that I had started. It just wasn't, I just wasn't feeling it. And I know that there'd be several others that would enjoy stitching this. So let's share this. So this pattern is not brand new, but I don't write on the patterns. If I did, I wouldn't pass it along, or I would let you know specifically what I wrote on. This is not, this is the back here. It shows you what it was charted with. I, of course, was picking DMCs. This is called Autumn Avenue from, it's Little Stitch Girl. Yeah, I was covering. I was like, I think I know it's Little Stitch Girl, but I couldn't tell, but I was covering the little logo there. So that's what I was giving away. I decided to say to the project goodbye to what I had stitched. I hadn't done a ton, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I asked you to say the word scarecrow, because there is an adorable little scarecrow on there. And let me mix the names around. And the winner is, let me pull out. Ah, okay, who do we have here? Let me use this again. Renee Riley. Congratulations, Renee. You have won this chart. So if you could get back to me with your address, I'm going to put that over there. And again, you can send me a Gmail. You can send me an Instagram DM. On Facebook, they are hidden somewhere, so I don't always see them. And lately, I don't know, has anybody else had this problem? So I had some people ask me where to send the trading cards to, and they sent me Gmails. Well, Gmail put them in some weird place, like some weird spam folder-ish. I don't know why, yet they let some clear spam through. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I just a few days ago found that area. It was like 3 people's emails. So I apologize if it looked like I wasn't answering you. I just didn't know they were there. So give me a few days, or find another way of contacting me if I'm not responding to you, because apparently I am not, well, I think we already know that I am not completely tech savvy, so you got to work with me, please. But all right, what am I doing here? Oh, with this week's giveaway. See, I'm getting punchy now. So this week I decided to give away these colors, are the colors of the season, and I recently picked these up. They're Classic Colorworks. They're Pumpkin Harvest and Classic Rust. Aren't they beautiful? They could be used in conjunction with each other, or they could be used on their own. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm asking you to say the word rust, R-U-S-T. This is the just rust. They are maybe lightly variegated, but closer on the more solid tones. I would say the rust would end up showing a little bit more variegation. But there's a little bit on the Pumpkin Harvest. But they are not heavily variegated. So yeah, so say the word rust. And I don't always say it, but just a reminder, please be at least 18 or over so that you can send me your address. Please do not say giveaway or free or any of those types of things. I would ask that you would subscribe. I'm not going to check. We're all adults here. But I would appreciate it if you could be a subscriber. Alrighty, so next video, I will pick a name out of the blue bowl for that. And that is it for stitching. If you are here, thank you so much for being here. I have some life stuff, and then we'll say goodbye and I'll let you move on. Well, you can move on anytime you want, right? But I'll be moving on to uploading this video. Fingers crossed it will upload, and I've got some stitching to do. Alrighty. Well, you know what I have to do? No, before I stitch, I've got some fabrics to choose. That's what I'm going to do. Flosses to pull and fabrics to choose, because you can't get things started if you don't have a fabric. Life. So it was a pretty actually eventful sort of week since I've last talked to you. I was actually quite uncomfortable. So Tuesday I had physical therapy. So Tuesday, Thursday, I do physical therapy for my hip. The goal being to try to get the area at a point where I don't need surgery, right? because we're looking to see what's going on there before I just jump right into the surgery. And I've been doing pretty good, but Thursday I saw a different physical therapist, and they all have their favorite things to do, right? And at the time she was doing some different stuff and it felt great. But Thursday afternoon, my back, I was getting almost like sciatica type of issues. And it was really bothering me. Friday, I was in quite a difficult way. Now, I kept doing my exercises and my stretches, mostly stretches. I was a bit gentle because things were, a little bit off. And, but Friday was a difficult day for me physically. And then into Saturday morning, and we went grocery shopping Saturday morning, and I was feeling it. I was kind of getting, kind of like the pins and needles and all that stuff that you get with like the sciatica. And I came home, I did some stitching. I did a little bit of stretching because we had plans on Saturday afternoon. Mo was great though. He's like, if you don't feel great, we had paid for something, but it was kind of a fundraiser. So he's like, we'll consider it a donation. Don't worry about it. So I was stitching and we were going to go about noonish. And I said about 11:15 or so, I said, let me move around. And I started to feel better. And I moved around and I definitely was feeling better. So I said, let's give it a try. It was a beautiful day on Saturday. Let's at least get out of the house. Sometimes I subscribe to the thought that if I can get out of the house and get some fresh air, sometimes I feel better. Not always, but sometimes. And I'm so glad I did go out and not stay at home because we had a lovely time. So the local fire department does different types of fundraisers to raise money to buy different things that they need. Because, fire departments need really important stuff and it's usually very expensive. And so they actually had their very first annual brew fest. So I don't know, 15 to 20 different breweries, some from the area, some as far away as Maryland, came in, and they had at the convention center, they had them all set up. So you paid for your ticket. You got a little bag. In the bag, it was a wonderful pen. I don't know about you, but I am a pen person. I am very particular about my pens. And this one writes like a dream. But I digress. And then they had little glass. Well, everybody who got a ticket got a little glass. So it's, one of those like little tiny pint glassy type things. And that was what you used to do all of your samples. And so you would go to the different places and they would give you, now I was thinking they would give you like maybe a quarter of the glass. Some of these people were filling them up, and I don't, I can have, like if we're going out somewhere, I'll have one drink, or at home, I generally will have one. That's about usually and I savor it or whatever. Sometimes if I do a little bit extra, I'll share one with Mo or something. But for the most part, that's all I do. So I was like, boo, boo, they're filling this thing up. So luckily they have the little buckets where, you can dump. And you can also rinse, because obviously there's different types of beers. You don't want to be mixing and matching. So I didn't do a full, I know I didn't, because we would not be doing good if I drank that much every single time they gave it to me. And I think we hit everybody to give it a try. Some, I was like a sip or two and nope, that's gone. I don't like the super, super hoppy, and I don't like the bittery type things. Sometimes I take a few more sips, but again, thank goodness for these buckets, because I would not have done, they had some different food there, but it was nothing I could eat. So, that wasn't an option for me. I didn't really eat beforehand because I was this was off the cuff that I had decided, let's go. Right. So anyway, we had a great time. It was really nice. Every single person was, they were very friendly. They were talkative. They would talk about their different things or just talk about their breweries or whatever. They're all part of restaurants a lot of times. So it's different places that we know or don't know. So it was just really interesting, hearing them talk about different things and all of that. And it was just a lot of fun. We really, really enjoyed ourselves. Well, given the fact that there wasn't any food there, I said to Mo, you have to feed me. I cannot go anywhere, without you feeding me. And I was like, yeah, let's chill out, because this was in downtown Rehoboth. So there's plenty of options in restaurants. We'd already paid for parking. So you know what? You're feeding me. So we went somewhere, had a lovely, lovely lunch. And I was like, let's walk down towards the boardwalk. There's an ice cream place that sells vegan ice cream. So I'm like, okay, let's get a little ice cream and kind of hang out at the beach. There was thunder and a few little, like, you know, sometimes you get that like spitting few drops kind of thing, and not a lot, a few drops here or there. So we kind of hung out on the boardwalk for a while because they weren't letting anybody on the beach at one point, but then they let people on the beach. And so it was just a really lovely afternoon. Not too hot. Again, it was beautiful. And it's just, you know, something different. I've never done like a beer tasting kind of thing. So that was, you know, kind of a fun experience. And then, you know, all the other stuff that we did. So I really, really enjoyed myself. I tease Mo that unless I do a Zoom, I get very little stitching done on the weekend. Like the majority of my stitching is done during the week unless I'm Zooming, because I'm always like, we're doing stuff and I just don't ever think of stitching. But anyway, it was a really, really lovely day. I was feeling better, and I was able to walk. We did some walking from, you know, where we parked to the convention center, to the restaurant, to the boardwalk, down to the beach. That very last part, I had done enough for my hip and my back. So Mo did get the car at the end, and he came and he got me because I was at the limit. But I was really proud of myself because after Friday, I felt better. And so I was able to do some walking. So that was great. So that was a lovely day. Mo had to travel just for a couple days. He was in Texas. He didn't see much of Texas at all besides airport, hotel, and wherever the meeting was. So that's why I had the Zoom on Wednesday. Again, thank you for all of you who joined me. And now sometimes Mo very rarely travels. So unfortunately, it's not like, well, I shouldn't say that. I like when he's home. I don't, because then you get nervous. I follow the flight. I make sure everything's safe and all that. But so I don't necessarily want him to travel. But the one good thing about it was that I was able to, you know, host a Zoom. I'll host them and just tell him to go watch his TV shows or whatever. So I will have more, but know that they can be any day, anytime. It just happens to rotate with the schedule. Sometimes it's when he's working, so it's perfect for me. I know that's not always perfect for everybody else's schedules, but there's lots of choices for Zooms. So mine's just one in a bunch of different ones, and it could be a weekend, could be a weekday. I'll just try to give you some notice that, you know, this one I didn't give a full week's notice, but I decided off the cuff. So thank you for those who joined me. I'm thinking about maybe something in October because of my pumpkin birthday stitch along. We'll see. I don't know, but keep an eye out. Fingers crossed that Mo is not traveling anymore in the near future. So that won't necessarily be an option, but that's okay. Like I said, I'll go tell him to do something else. I just couldn't do that on a regular weekly basis because I never know what our schedule is going to be like. And then yesterday, he got home yesterday mid-afternoon, and it was a beautiful day. I said, let's go to the beach. And so we did go for a little while. Waves were, woo! Obviously, they were coming in, and I think today and tomorrow, there's supposed to be really dangerous riptides. I'm sure it was yesterday. The waves were huge, huge. I mean, we just sat on the beach. And the wind was kicking up as well. But the waves were just, I was just amazed. I think they'd been the biggest I had ever seen them, that we had been down there. But it was nice. We just, you know, kind of hung out for about an hour because we live close enough that we can do that. And it was quiet. It was probably mid to late afternoon, but now now we're getting quieter. We're not getting as many tourists, so we could go even at the height. I wouldn't because I don't do the beach at noon, but I could go at the height and probably be fine. There's not a lot of crowds and traffic, but it was really nice. I do want to get back there either today or tomorrow just to see, are the waves even stronger? Obviously, I'm just hanging out in the sand, so I'm not worried about the swimming and the riptides, because if I put my feet in, that's the extent of what I do with the ocean. So that's not an issue, but I'd love to see, you know, what's going on with the ocean. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what our plans are this weekend. Aston Villa the break is off. The international break is done. And so games start back up this weekend. So, you know, obviously then we have to fill that in with the weekend. And Mo did try pickleball on Monday. Felt really good. He only did an hour because I said to him, you're traveling the next day. Don't you dare hurt yourself. So he did it a little bit. So, you know, I think he's easing himself back into that. So maybe I can, one day if he's going to do pickleball, I can do a pickleball Zoom. Because, you know, I'll have a couple hours to stitch. But anyway, that's about it. I have no idea what's going on besides hoping that Aston Villa does much better this weekend than last weekend. Or the last time before the break, because it was not pretty. But yeah, that's all I got. And if you're still here, thank you very much for listening to all of my adventures and my stitching and all of the good stuff. I am so appreciative of you being here, and I hope you got a good amount of stitching in. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. Take care of yourself. Lots of stuff going around germ-wise, so I want to make sure that you are healthy and well and able to stitch. And take care of yourself. Do something just for yourself. That was kind of what the beach was yesterday, a little bit of self-care, because you are important and you need to put yourself first sometimes. All right, until next time, happy stitching.